The benefit actually comes from challenging yourself and reaching a level of fatigue in doing the movement. So it's about what you feel. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy that process of challenging yourself and put yourself in those situations where you're doing the work and understand that by doing the work, you are achieving the goal. How to maximize benefits of your healing, of your training, of your exercises. We're going to apply this to getting out of back pain. Core balance training program, we use exercises as tools to learn about your body, to connect to your core, to retrain your movement to your core in order to better support your spine in your daily life. So that's what we do in core balance training. It's about what you feel. The benefit actually comes from challenging yourself and reaching a level of fatigue in doing the movement. So it's about what you feel. 3 sets of 10 is one of the worst inventions I've ever heard in physical therapy, because more physical therapy exercise programs involve doing 3 sets of 10 of something, no matter how challenging it is or what the exercise is. So people do 10 reps and then they stop, no matter whether it was challenging or not. And they're not getting any benefits if it wasn't challenging. So you do 3 sets of 10 and you get no benefit, and then you think you did something. But if you're doing 3 sets of 10, you want to make sure by the 10th rep that you're feeling fatigue or feeling a challenge in whatever the goal is. And that's where the benefit comes from, not from getting to number 10. I'm going to use the situation of building strength first because I just think it's more relatable to most people. And then we will apply this to core balance training and the goal of building support for your spine. You know, our goal in core balance training is create balance in the body and to activate the core and make it more part of your daily life. And so that's a little bit different than building strength. But in the context of building strength, we're going to apply this to lifting weights. We have 2 people in the gym, a very strong person and somebody who's a beginner. Let's call it 100 pounds. The very strong person can lift that 100 pounds 100 times. And so they lift it 100 times without even reaching fatigue. And the person that's not very strong can't even lift the weight, but is trying as hard as they can to lift the weight. Who gets more benefits? The person who lifted it 100 times, the very strong person, and did not reach fatigue, or the person who tried as hard as they could and was unable to lift the weights? The answer is the person who did not even lift the weight once gets more benefits from the exercise because he tried as hard as he could, and he was pushing as hard as he could, maximum effort, and he reached fatigue, and the muscles reached fatigue, and that's where they get the benefit. The feeling of fatigue and of the putting the effort in is what provides the benefits. It's the challenge. And the strong man who easily lifted the 100 pounds 100 times without even reaching fatigue did more numbers, did more reps, could have done it with perfect form, but it was not enough to challenge his fitness level. The only thing that numbers are useful for in training, no matter what the goal is for tracking your progress over time. So you can use numbers to see how much progress you've made, because last time you did so many or so far, and this time you did a little more. And so you made a little bit of progress. And so that's what numbers are useful for. But they're not useful for determining whether you're getting benefits from the exercise. Core balance training, the goal is not so much to build strength, but it is to build neuromuscular connection to the muscles of your deep core. And so one of the most challenging things about that is the effort of pushing harder and going maximum effort with something like lifting weights is actually counterproductive, because it engages compensatory muscles and it can override the deep core muscles that we're actually trying to target. So the effort in doing core balance training exercise is not actually the harder you push, like as in the same effort as trying to build strength. The effort actually comes in the amount of focus that you apply to the exercise. And so we don't want to confuse effort with effort of pushing. That's only one type of effort. That's only one type of challenge. There are many different types of challenge. You could challenge your muscular system for strength. You could challenge it for endurance. You could challenge it for balance. You can challenge your mind for focus. So whatever your goal is, the challenge applies to the goal. And if your goal is to improve your balance, then you should be doing things that are challenging your balance. So in core balance training, we are trying to learn the challenges, the focus of tuning into your deep core, deep abdominal muscles, and learning how to feel them and learning how to use them in your movement. I believe that it is the focus that we are trying to build in the beginning until you can establish that connection, that neuromuscular connection. And then it takes continued focus to be able to move with that connection. And so when doing exercises and core balance training, it is not beneficial to push as hard as you can, because as I already mentioned, that's not the goal. The goal is not to build strength. The goal is to build connection, and that requires focus. And we do exercises that specifically try to prevent common compensations. We kind of isolate core muscles with certain exercises, so you can't use your leg muscles, for example, to compensate for your core. And so sometimes that takes a lot of effort, but most of the time it just takes focus. And when you're doing the exercise, say you are in the first week of the program and you're having trouble doing an exercise like day 3, the back anchor progression or the bridge. Say you are unable to do it. It doesn't mean that it's a failure, because remember the analogy of the weak guy who could not even lift the weight one time, but he tried as hard as he could. He got more benefits than the strong man who lifted the same weight 100 times. We can apply that to core balance training. So if you are unable to do an exercise like the bridge, maybe you're unable to get your pelvis off the ground, that doesn't mean you don't get benefits. It doesn't mean that it's a fail. If you put the effort in to challenge your focus to accomplish the intention, whether or not you complete the movement or the number of reps, it doesn't really matter. Where you get the benefit from is by challenging yourself. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy that process of challenging yourself, and put yourself in those situations where you're doing the work, and understand that by doing the work, you are achieving the goal. Thank you guys all for being here. Until next time, down on the floor and connect to your core. See you next week.